Nice to see everybody. We're going to get started really soon. Just sort of checking out our mic here. Can everybody in the back hear me? Nice. Whistle if you can hear me. No, I'm just kidding. Whistle before. So, how's everybody feeling about tomorrow? Yay. I'm feeling positive myself. So a couple housekeeping things. We're going to get started with the speeches in about 5 minutes. I'm Taylor from Cycle Toronto. Nice to see everybody out tonight. And thanks for coming out. We've got a big sort of mosh pit forming right here. If everybody wants to take one giant step forward, then some of the folks in the back can get a little closer and tight and hear the speeches a little better. And I know that there were some volunteers who wanted to come up to the front and proudly show off their signs. So those folks could come up. Thanks a lot. We've got a lot of great speakers for tonight. If you take any great photos or videos, post them online and tag us Cycle Toronto on Instagram. And you might have our other accounts on the other social platforms. That'd be great. And like I said, thanks for coming out, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Coming out for the Rally for Justice to save our bike lane. Before I begin, there are lots of folks here. We do see MPP Chris Glover here. I want to thank him for coming out. My name is Michael Longfield, and I'm the Executive Director of Cycle Toronto. We're a member-supported charity that's been working to make Toronto a more vibrant cycling city since 2008. We're also one of the applicants on tomorrow's Charter Challenge against the province's arbitrary and reckless anti-bike lane legislation. And I just want to give shame on that. I want to give a huge thanks to the legal teams at EcoJustice and Palio Rowland who are leading this charge. I also want to thank you for being here tonight. Your presence and your voice are powering this fight. Honestly, on behalf of everyone that's working on this, thank you so much. It is so inspiring to see so many people out right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So since rumors of this legislation first surfaced in September, we've been pushing it back against this unprecedented jurisdictional overreach, one that undermines local democracy and threatens the health and safety of our streets. Let's be clear, Toronto is a great cycling city. But instead of embracing that, the province has tried to scapegoat bike lanes for its own failings to deliver solutions to fight urban gridlock. And voters didn't buy it. In the recent provincial election, the government lost its seat in Etobicoke Lakeshore. The Premier now has 0 MPPs along the Bloor-Yonge and University bike lane corridors. This government has no authority on this issue. Your standing here tonight is proof that riding a bike is not a fringe activity. It's how thousands of us get around every day, conveniently, affordably, and efficiently, when there's a safe, connected, and protected network to do so. And here's the kicker. The province knows this too, and they have known it all along. Internal documents revealed as part of this case show what we've been saying all along, that ripping out these bike lanes won't reduce traffic or solve congestion. There is no mythical network of secondary side streets to replace them, and it will put lives at risk. And too many of us know that firsthand. Just 2 days before we launched this challenge, I was doored while riding my bike by a passenger exiting a rideshare vehicle. I was in an unprotected painted bike lane. The collision fractured my femur and required major surgery, and there are now a dozen pins holding my leg together. 18 weeks later, I'm still in physio 3 times a week, and my timeline for getting back on a bike is still uncertain. It could have been worse, and it has been for far too many. Just want to say this isn't about drivers versus cyclists or waging a bad faith culture war. We all know that. Because at the end of the day, we all just want to get home safely. And this fight isn't just about Cycle Toronto. Thank you. We're here today because we also want to hear from some of the other voices that are lending their voices to this fight. And so I want to introduce you to some of the applicants, affiants, and interveners Three words I didn't know before we launched this legal challenge, and what the difference between them were, who have bravely added their name to this fight. And so I first want to call up Dr. Suzanne Jackson, who's with the Canadian Public Health Association, one of the interveners on the case.
Hi, everybody. We're here because public health matters. I'm not sure if you know about all the things we're interested in, but the things that connect to the bike lanes are that we're interested in preventing injuries, we're interested in the fitness that goes with bicycling, we're interested in the environmental benefits of cycling, and that it makes the city an urban, a livable urban area, and it's a healthy city because of that. And most importantly, we're interested in the equity issues, because we don't want harm to come to some of the most disadvantaged people who use our bike lanes. So the government of Ontario wants to remove the protected bike lanes on 3 of our busiest streets. They're not just lines of paint, they're lifelines for those who are cycling. And it makes it possible for us to have a healthy, safe mode of transport. Removing them puts cyclists at a much greater risk of injury and death, and I'm glad that you weren't on that second consequence. But the government hasn't even justified any of the reasons why they want to take these lanes away. We know cycling improves heart health. We know it supports mental well-being. We know it reduces pollution. We know it reduces traffic congestion. And all those things are the cornerstones of healthy urban living. And yet, instead of expanding access to cycling and safe cycling, the government of Ontario is taking it away, effectively choosing to punish people who are choosing or needing to cycle. So let's be clear about who will be hit hardest. It won't be those with the luxury of choice. So it'll be those who cycle because they must. Like you. Yeah, there you go. Low-income Torontonians, newcomers, students, older adults, people with disabilities, many of them rely on cycling because it's the only affordable and accessible option. When you remove the protected infrastructure, you're not just taking away safety, you're taking away their mobility, their health, and their dignity. For someone who needs these lanes, it can make the difference between cycling and not being able to participate in community life at all. The government of Ontario's own traffic safety manuals and planning documents recognize that physically separated bike lanes improve safety, encourage cycling, and enhance access for people in low-income communities. Despite this, the decision to remove the lanes was made without public health justification, without equity impact assessments, and without consulting the people who would be affected. So it's not just bad policy to ignore evidence, it's bad governance. So we're asking for evidence-based decision-making here. We're asking for infrastructure that protects, not excludes. So we're asking for the right to health and safety, that it's not reserved just for those who can afford alternatives. It's about fundamental fairness, it's about public health, and it's about refusing to let the most vulnerable among us pay the highest price. The Canadian Public Health Association is proud to stand alongside Cycle Ontario or Cycle Toronto, Eco-Justice, and other applicants in this case. We're calling on the courts and all of us as citizens to ensure that health, safety, and equity are not optional, they're essential. So let's fight for our livable city and for policies that are just and streets that are safe for everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jackson. I'd like to now call up Narada Kiando, who's one of the applicants on the case with Cycle Toronto.
Hello, hello everyone. My name is Narada, and I'm one of the applicants in the Charter Challenge against the removal of bike lanes. I've been a full-time bike messenger since 2019. I've been a full-time bike messenger since 2019. When I started this job, there were only a few hundred of us. Now in 2025, there are over 1,000 delivery people on bikes every day in the city. We deliver food, we deliver medicine, we deliver specimens and supplies to hospitals. We deliver documents and packages to some of the biggest companies and small businesses in the city. Sadly, being a bike messenger is also a very dangerous job, especially when there are no bike lanes. Studies show that bike couriers report more injuries than any other, at a higher rate than almost every other job. Every bike messenger I know has a story about a time they've been doored or hit by a car, especially in streets without bike lanes. I've rushed to the aid of many of my friends and colleagues when they've been hit by a car, and me and my friends have spent countless hours at accident scenes and in the ER every time one of us gets hit. When I was preparing these words, I thought about how I could talk about the reasons why bike lanes are important, but so much has already been said, including by Doug Ford's own experts in recently released documents about why removing bike lanes will not improve traffic and will actually make the streets less safe for cyclists. Instead, I'm going to talk about my own personal experiences riding since 2019 on streets with bike lanes and without bike lanes. A prime example is Avenue Road. Since 2019 up until last summer, there was no bike lane. Every time I rode on that stretch of street, it felt like a nightmare. Up until last year, early last year, there were 3 ghost bikes on that little stretch of street about a kilometer long. The first one was for Miguel, who was struck by a cement truck in 2021 and pronounced dead on the spot. The second one was on Bloor, where there was a bike lane, but there was a blockage in the bike lane, and she was struck and killed when she was trying to merge with traffic at Bloor Avenue. And the last and most close to me and people like me who do this for work was Ali, an Uber Eats courier from Turkey, who was killed on Avenue Road by a flatbed truck a few weeks before the other cyclist was also killed on Avenue in April of last year. 3 needless, heartbreaking deaths. And very soon after Ali's death, I started noticing a difference. Temporary bike lanes were installed immediately, and full bike lanes were installed in July. Now I can ride on Avenue and feel safe. This is a case study of what will happen on Bloor, Young, and University if bike lanes are removed. Every time I ride on those 3 streets, I will feel like how I felt riding Avenue last year. No more needless deaths. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Narada. And actually want to just remind everyone that, this is like after work rush hour. This is one of the bike lanes the province wants to remove because of traffic concerns. Where is the traffic? Maybe it'll come later. Who knows? I'd like to next invite up here one of the affiants on the case with us, Howard Chang.
Thanks, Michael. That was a great story, by the way. Really appreciated that. My name's Howard Chang, and I don't like to think of myself as a cyclist, and I think that might come as a bit of a surprise for people who know me, since I was on the city cycling committee in the 80s. I founded multiple bike clubs, and I own way more spandex than a man my age should be allowed to own. But I prefer to think of myself as a father, a brother, and a son that rides a bike regularly. I also drive a car occasionally, and I also take mass transit occasionally. And I'm forced to walk a lot because I have a rescue dog from Texas who needs a lot of walking. So we are multimodal, and active transportation, bicycle infrastructure is mission critical to build a livable city. And I think we all agree Toronto has a ways to go and a lot of opportunity to be a much more livable city. So why do we want a livable city? I say we want a livable city because we want a better quality of life. But I also want to speak from my position as an entrepreneur and a businessman. I own multiple companies that employs dozens of Torontonians, and I would say one of the biggest challenges for all companies in this day and age is attracting great talent. And for the young people out there, including my children, a lot of what they're looking for is a 15-minute city, a walkable city, a bikeable city, infrastructure that's going to allow them to move through the city without having to own a car, the incredible expense of that. Some may choose to, some may not, but they want the option. For my employees, we actually launched a bike to work program a number of years ago where we actually pay our staff $5 a day to ride their bikes to work. We built showers, we built lockers, we built indoor bike storage, and I'll tell you the effect it had on my company. It reduced our turnover by 70%. It increased the mental health and physical well-being of our staff. It reduced our medical insurance claims. It was good for our business. So the point I'd like to make to other business leaders out there who sometimes have access to the keys of powers that most of us don't have, is that when you're speaking amongst yourselves, when you're speaking to political leaders, please let them understand that bikes aren't just good for lycra-wearing hippies like me that happen to own businesses. It's also good for the economy, it's good for business, and it's good for this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Would now like to invite up Vanessa Brown, who's with For Our Kids, another one of the interveners in our case.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here. I'm a parent and a volunteer with For Our Kids Toronto. We're part of a national network of parents and families who are taking environmental action driven by the love we have for our children. I'm here today because I want a better future for our kids. But right now, the future is under threat from our own provincial government. Doug Ford's Bill 212, the Reducing Gridlock Saving You Time Act, is not just an attack on bike lanes. It's an attack on our children's safety and our city's efforts to become more sustainable. Removing the protected bike lanes from Bloor, University, and Yonge means more cars, more pollution, and more danger to cyclists. The government's own consultants estimate a 54% increase in collisions if the bike lanes are removed. That's children, parents, and loved ones at risk of being struck by a car. And for what? A few minutes off someone's commute? Let's be clear, the province knows this won't solve gridlock. Their own internal memos say so, but they want to do it anyways. In the legal documents they filed for tomorrow's hearing, they have implied that the need to reduce gridlock outweighs the need for safe spaces for cyclists on arterial roads. The sense they give is that if cyclists choose to ride on these roads after the bike lanes are removed, that's their problem, not the government's. This is not acceptable. Destroying green infrastructure will increase carbon emissions, worsen pollution, and exacerbate climate change. And because of their small growing bodies, children will be hit the hardest. They are more susceptible to the negative health effects of pollution and climate change. To say nothing of the fact that more than 50% of children around the world currently experience climate anxiety. Bike lanes aren't a luxury, they're a lifeline. They make it possible for families to move through the city safely, to stay active, and to breathe cleaner air. They're part of a healthy, sustainable future, one that our kids can thrive in. As a parent, I want to live in a city that loves our children as much as I do. I want infrastructure that makes it safe and fun for everyone to get around. I want our leaders to move beyond short-sighted political theater and invest in building a thriving, sustainable city that will nourish our children now and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. I'd now like to bring up Eva Stenger-Ross, one of the applicants on the case.
Hi everyone. Before I start, let's just give a round of applause for Cycle Toronto for not only organizing this protest, but the entire Ford Challenge. Thank you so much. On this case to represent the students that depend on these bike lanes. As a student at U of T, I take the Bloor bike lane every single day to get to school because taking transit would be much more expensive and double the time, and I cannot afford to drive. Many other students experience the same thing as me. Bike lanes are critical for us to learn, to live, and to be able to afford Toronto. I'm sure that is true for many of you. The targeted bike lanes that will be removed if this bill goes through lead directly to U of T. All of them are integral for students, and removing them would be a direct hit to the student body. Students also a lot of students do not have another option. If we remove these bike lanes, students are still going to be biking. We are still going to be needing free, affordable, and fast ways of transit, but we will be in harm's way. This goes for all of you too. Without the bike lanes, we will be in the lane with cars. This will make transit for cars slower, transit for bikers slower, and transit less safe for everyone. This cannot be what Ford wants. A slower and less safe network of roads? It doesn't make any sense. We are trying to make Ford hear reason. I and everyone else here today just want Ford to realize that this is not a war on cars. This is fighting for a better future for everyone. We need the bike lanes as much as the cars need the bike lanes. We all need different forms of transportation so that the roads don't get even more busy than they already are. So please, let's make him hear reason. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Eva, and thanks for Bike for Bikes as well for just all the work y'all have been doing with rides and rallies too. Would now like to bring up Adam Rogers, one of the applicants. I think Adam also has a guest with him as well.
Hi, my name is Adam Rogers, and I am a dad from Etobicoke. Funny enough, I am a lifelong Etobicoke Lakeshore resident. I grew up in Islington Village, for any of those people who know the area. That is pretty much right where the bike lanes are ending. And I have to say that really the main reason I am so supportive of bike lanes is for my daughter Yuna here. So for those, whether you're a parent or not, the risk benefit of being a bike really changes as soon as you have a kid on the back of your bike. I remember I used to commute from Etobicoke to the west end of North York. We're talking about Weston Road and Shepherd. I used to commute over the 401 on my bike, which looking back was dangerous. I would never, ever in my lifetime take my daughter over there. And every time I go on a major street without a bike lane, I always think twice. Perfect example. A street that I often use that has no bike lane, Dundas. I had a person almost take me off the road to try to squeeze a right turn, even though I was in the right of way, turning on into a school zone. I can only imagine, thankfully at the time my daughter wasn't with me, I can only imagine. Now, yes, what? I know, it's a lot. She's already given me the old heap-ho, so I'll keep this short and sweet. So, a couple things. As I said, I grew up in Etobicoke, and Etobicoke Lakeshore is the largest ward in the city. It is one of the fastest growing ward in the city. We're going to have 10,000 new residents in the next 5 to 10 years. The neighborhood where I live, right nearby, is going to have a major development. If we do not future-proof our neighborhood now, we're going to run into the same problem. Let's say, oh yeah, he said something. He's taking the picture, great. And the thing is, let's say we pull out the bike lanes. What's going to happen? We're going to hit traffic in 5 to 10 years anyway, and because we decide to not give anyone another option to go, we're not going to be able to alleviate traffic and safety. Honestly, I have talked to lots of parents. They don't want their kids on the road because they're worried, and that's a lot of reasons why people take take cars. Heck, I have a car. I have a bike. I mean, I live in Etobicoke, but that doesn't mean that I want a freedom of having alternate options. Yes, honey? Was there anything you wanted to say? We'll wrap it up. But is there anything else you wanted to say? No? You want to say anything about bike lanes? You like to ride your bike? Yeah. Yeah, okay, well, close enough. She told me she's been hyping up going on the mic all day, but you want to say anything? Why don't you say? Okay, only for me. Okay, well, thanks everyone. After me? Okay. Well, just remember that I know that Etobicoke gets a bad rap, but there's all sorts of folks in there. And there's plenty of us that do use the bike lanes, and the only way that more of us will is if we keep the bike lanes we have right now. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. And now I'd like to bring up Julia Kroom with EcoJustice.
Okay, for a change of pace. James Joyce said, "In the particular is contained the universal." Wait a second, I thought she was a lawyer. Why is she quoting James Joyce? Actually, lawyers love starting their remarks with quotations and analogies, so look out for that tomorrow, those of you who are going to be in court. But stay with me, okay? Just remember that thought. In the particular is contained the universal. I'm the director of litigation practice at EcoJustice, and I'm not personally acting for Eva, Narada, and Cycle Toronto. That's my colleagues, Lindsay and Bronwyn. In fact, I left Lindsay and Bronwyn behind at the office. We're still hard at work getting ready for tomorrow. They'll be over there. They asked me to be here and speak on their behalf, and I'm here to speak for EcoJustice as well. They are so proud to represent these brave applicants who have done so much over the last 6 months. And this is a harsh introduction to the legal system. You, as you said, had to learn it all. To respond to this threat to you, to Toronto cyclists. EcoJustice, though, is a national environmental legal organization. We bring strategic cases that will defend nature, combat climate change, and fight for a healthy environment for all. A big part of what we do is hold governments to account. To hold the line at the intersection of the environment and our rights as citizens. This case hits right in that spot. It's clearly environmental. You're all out here, many of you, because you choose to ride bikes out of concern for the environment. And this is arbitrary government action based not on evidence. It's not based on facts. When you pop the hood of this bill, we can see that the government has known for some time now that they have no evidence of a link between this action and their alleged goal of reducing consumption. Thank you, congestion. It is ironic to EcoJustice that a government taking so much pride in standing up to Donald Trump's tariffs and threats to Canadian sovereignty would operate straight from the Trump playbook. Rip up infrastructure, protecting lives, and good for the environment? Check. Gut a process that provides checks and balances on government power? Check. Rush to act and steamroll reasoned opposition and questions? Check. This case is about Eva and Narada, about Toronto cyclists. But it is also about standing up to unreasoned government action that will harm us, that will harm the environment, holding up the Charter of Rights and saying stop. And that's a universal fight that EcoJustice is incredibly proud to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that's it, everyone. We're going to remind everyone that the legal challenge itself is happening tomorrow. It's going to be in that building there. So if you're free, if you can take the day off work or you have the luxury, please come join us in the courtroom. It's courtroom 8-1 and overflow courtroom 8-4. We'll start at 10 a.m. And again, this doesn't end tomorrow. We'll need to keep pushing back, even if we win, or should I say, when we win. This is only addressing one aspect of the legislation, which is ripping out Bloor Young University. Bill 212 will still exist, which will block cities like Toronto and across the province from building new bike lanes. So we will continue fighting, and like tomorrow, we will win thanks to you. Thanks to you so much for coming out today, and see you tomorrow. Thanks. And I know this is a little odd that the Cycle Toronto event and there's no ride, but there actually is no ride because some of us have to get to bed early tonight because we've got a big day tomorrow. But I promise you we will be on our bikes all together again soon. Thank you.
I have to get home. It's a ride. Just a ride. 2, 1.